I'm calling this story my excommunication story. And I wasn't sure if I would ever actually tell this story. But as I have looked at myself as a coach and who I've become in the last 15 years since we left the Mennonite church, I knew that was such an important part. So thank you for listening. Thank you for just taking time to hear my story. I'd been in the Mennonite church for 50 years, or almost 50 years, born and raised, loved many, many things about the Mennonite church, loved the fellowship, loved the camaraderie. Um, but there was a place and a time where my husband and I both felt like it was no longer an option to be at the Mennonite church we were at. And I've thought a lot about it because I have no idea if we had not been excommunicated after we sent them a we're leaving, withdrawing our membership. A lot of Mennonite churches, I mean, maybe not a lot, but I've seen some or been in some where they have to do that power move of excommunicating you, so they're not the bad guy, or whatever their reason is. Maybe I shouldn't make that assumption, but um, and so when we got that letter, I can tell you exactly where I was standing when I read it. I was absolutely devastated. Um, I thought we were going to leave the church. We were going to next place, next, finding something that really resonated with our hearts and where our journey was taking us. And I had no idea the journey I was going to be on. Because I read that letter and I was like, who am I now? How does God see me now? Are you even, talking to myself, are you even fit for his kingdom? Does he think about you like these people think about you? Does he agree with them? Or does he see you as differently? Does he see you, the way I see myself, living in myself, knowing my heart? And there were a lot of struggles. Um, if you talk about a midlife crisis or even like empty nest syndrome, um, coming to the end of a 50-year, um, being with a particular group of people, and all of a sudden stories are rampant. It was almost like 2 stories a week we'd hear through the grapevine. So-and-so said this, so-and-so said this. People didn't come to us and say, hey, I heard this, what's the truth? It was just hearing all the stuff, feeling all the rejection. Um, so the rejection was a really big deal. Um, just feeling like I am no longer a part of a group of people that I thought would be there for me the rest of my life. I had no idea. For a lot of people that see me today, 15 years later, um, they still see me as a Mennonite, the general world, because I still wear the head covering. And for the most part, wear dresses or skirt and blouses in public. And so I am just incredibly grateful for the journey that God took me on. And I think for me, all of the rejection, all of that stuff was really, really hard. But for me, the hardest thing was, who is God for me now? And I had a friend who told me that she thought I had a fairy tale relationship with God because I just like connected with him. I had connected with my dad. He was my hero. And when it came to God, I just had this connection and never doubted it. Never doubted it for a minute. But I had come into some doubt before we were excommunicated because of something one of my friends was going through, and I just didn't see God showing up. And I started into this doubt of, is he good? Is he really, really good? Is God good when everything seems like it's going to hell? And so I had already kind of been in that, um, just, I know God is God, but I'm doubting whether he's good by the looks of things. So then comes the excommunication, and I'm like, whoa, I don't even know if I can trust Christian people anymore for the way they act, the way they communicate or don't communicate. And so the turmoil, the doubt, the not even feeling like reading my Bible. I would pray some, but it felt like there was like a roof over my head. It felt like things weren't getting through. And so there was in a place of this that my husband and I had gone for our anniversary, and I felt like I had this dream, and we went it was a Christian camp, and there was a prayer team on board, and so we went to the prayer team, and we did some praying, and I just felt like God was telling me that I had fallen into unbelief. So I started to just say out my unbelief. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to know that I know that I know that I'm okay with you. And I want to change it. I want to know without a doubt that you are God and that you are good, that I am your daughter, and that you love me, that you are not disappointed. And it was a hard journey. I'm a tangible person, and I have a tiara here that I would put on some days, and I would just wear it around as in hopes that I would like believe that I was his daughter, that he didn't feel the same way as those spiritual leaders that had picked up this, that, and the other and written a letter about it and read it to the people. And it has taken a lot of years. But I've realized that had they not excommunicated us, it would have been really, really easy to find another church to, um, there were a lot of things that were comfortable in the Mennonite church. That was how I was raised. That was what I did. That was who I was in a lot of ways. That was just who I was. And so, finding what God really wants of me now, what does he say about me now, was this really hard journey of trusting the voice of God. You don't really realize how much you've been either brainwashed or just pre-programmed by certain thinking until, you think about yourself that way. So if somebody's excommunicated in the Mennonite church, a lot of times part of that service that they do as a part of excommunicating somebody is handing them over to Satan. Am I Satan's now? There were a lot of questions that went through my mind, a lot of doubts. Um, and part of what I'm passionate about in my coaching is identity. And I went for a search for my identity. Who am I? Who did God create me to be? Who am I when um, at my mom's funeral or the viewing? Um, I remember, there are 7 of us, and so it's my oldest brother, and then they kind of around. Um, I was last, and so I could watch how people responded to the rest of my the rest of my family and how they responded to me. Um, there was this one woman particularly. She was a very conservative Mennonite from a group that we had attended meetings at occasionally. One of my siblings went to that church, and she came over and gave me the biggest hug. And I needed it because it was sometimes in those moments of feeling like the odd one out, like that I would start to doubt my position with God. Is is he okay with who I am? And over the years, like I said, it's been 15 years now, and here I am still, like, getting emotional sometimes, as I didn't even really know that I would feel this emotional about it, but I can say that it has been the most incredible journey of my life to really just have it be me and God. Yeah, I had my husband, I had my children. Um, and actually, a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I met this Mennonite woman in Walmart, and she had no inhibitions, even though I was obviously not dressed like a conservative Mennonite. She gave me a hug, and we talked, and we had this amazing conversation. And later, we exchanged numbers, and I had never met her before. But later, I messaged her, and I said, thank you. Just thank you for treating me like a fellow human. I think sometimes I remember one of the first churches we went to. Um, I shared some with the pastor, and he asked me to share my testimony, and I'm gonna read the verse that I shared there, but it was really, I was standing, I was sharing a little bit of my story, and I was looking out over this group, and I saw love, I saw the care, I saw the admiration, the validation, the affirmation, whatever. I saw it all. And even as I was looking, I was feeling affirmed and validated as a person, as my story. I was like, but I wish it was my own people. I wish I could have gotten that affirmation from my own people. And I know that now it does. I'm the kind of person that I would love to have all of my friendships last forever. And so the friendships I lost because of being excommunicated, because of the untold story, because of them not knowing, asking, who am I now? Who am I now? I didn't actually, I think I changed for the better. Since then, God is growing me in his likeness and his image like I couldn't believe possible. But there was a lot of things that he was trying to rid me of and other things that he wanted to change in me. My core values are love and freedom. And I tried very much to exercise those, you know, back in that time, but I feel like God has given me a sense of freedom, and not just freedom from man's rules, because I think a lot of times people think about that in the Mennonites, but freedom to think, freedom to listen to God, like God trumps man, and that I actually can sit with God and I can listen to God and I can have these conversations with my husband, and I can grow outside of one man's opinion or two men's opinion. So I want to close with my verses that I spoke that day, because I said a little while ago that before the excommunication, one of my friends said it was like I was um, in a fairy tale relationship with God. And I understood what she meant after I read these verses. This is out of Job 42. Job answered God, I'm, this is Job 42, 1 to 6. Job answered God, I'm convinced you can do anything and everything. Nothing and no one can upset your plans. You asked, who is this muddying the water, ignorantly confusing the issue? Second, guessing my purposes. I admitted I was the one. I babbled on about things far beyond me, made small talk about wonders way over my head. You told me, listen, and let me do the talking. Let me answer the questions. Let me ask the questions. You give the answers. I admit I once lived by rumors of you. Now I have it all firsthand. From my own eyes and ears, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I'll never do it again, I promise. I'll never again live on crusts of hearsay and crumbs of rumors. God restores Job. And I just want to say, sometimes the very thing that feels like it's just tearing you to pieces, it's literally bringing you to the end of yourself. And I just want to say, I have no animosity toward the people that chose to do this. I feel like it was a gift. It was a gift to me, an opportunity to see God differently, God outside the box of Mennonitism And also, I'm not in opposition to Mennonites. I have a lot of family that's still Mennonites. And so please don't take this as a bash against that. But for me, I feel like God asked me to see him outside of the perimeters of religion, not just Mennonite, but any religion, that he was calling me to see him, to see that he was God of relationship, a God with no boundaries of what he could do in my life to change me. And I can say I'm not the person I used to be. And I'm super grateful because the person I am now was recreated in his image. He has shown me some of my gifts and talents that I had no idea were even there. And so I'm just excited that I still get to heal from that event. And even as I process telling the story, I realize, there's still pain there, and I won't minimize that. And I may have to do some walking through and just talking to God about some of those painful areas. But I will say I'm grateful because I had communicated with a friend a couple weeks ago, a new friend, and she had gotten excommunicated, and she said, it was only after I got excommunicated that I realized all of these things about how God created me and who I am in him. And I was like, I wonder if this wasn't a gift from him to me to lay it all aside and say, okay, God, show me who I am in you, because that's all I want to know. Thank you again for hearing my story. And I just wish you the very best in your journey of finding who you are in Christ and who he is to you, because that is the most priceless thing you can find in your life.